Well, good evening, Internet. It's me, DP Knudten, for another edition of BOOKWARD BOUND, my 301-day journey from I should really do this to done. And that done is the creation of a brand new book that's called something like NONFICTION BRAND, Discovering, Crafting, and Communicating the Completely True, Completely You brand you already are. And yeah, that's what I'm here to do, and that's what I'm doing tonight with your help, because I made this commitment to you about 100, let's see, tonight is episode 126. So 126 days ago, on March 5th of 2020, I made a commitment to you and to myself to actually write a book in real time, in real life, online, and that's what I'm doing right here. So tonight, what am I going to be doing? I could be writing, I could be editing, I could be designing a section of the book perhaps. I could be maybe outlining or mind mapping new ideas, etc. What exactly am I going to be doing tonight? Well, that's a really good question. And I think the answer is pretty simple. I'm going to go to a section that I've written in previously and I think is about done, but I need to go through it again to make sure that I made all the points that I actually want to have come through this section in a cogent way, in a way that actually makes sense. So let's hop on over to Scrivener, which is the piece of software that I'm using to actually write this book. It's very popular with a lot of authors because it allows you to do things like this, which is write the actual section of the book in the main window, but then have all the chapters or sections within the book outlined over here. So right now you'll see right here that I'm looking at a section called Me or My Biz, What's the Difference? And you'll see a yellow flag. Well, if you look closely, you'll see that I've got four different kinds of flags here. Green, blue, red, and yellow. Now, red means, dude, you haven't written anything in this section, but you want to write something in that section. Yellow means, hey, you've written a bunch in this section, but maybe it's not completely done. Blue means, I think this section is done, but it needs to be final proofed, or, finally edited before I can give it the coveted green flag of doneness. Well, even here, you'll notice that I need a pull quote from a Nonfiction Brand episode for what? Where's that? Oh, this is the Dana Sanchez episode. Ooh, so this does not deserve a green flag. It needs to go back to blue because it's not actually done. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back to a blue flag because I need to find that pull quote. And maybe that's something I'll do. See that right there? Maybe that's something I'll do tomorrow-ish? I don't know. But tonight I'm going to take a look at this one. A section called Me or My Biz, What's the Difference? Now, I love my copy to be very vocal, meaning it sounds like it's being read to you. And one of the things I noticed a long time ago as a copywriter is that if you write copy and when you read it aloud, you stumble over something, it's because your copy or your writing is not exactly optimized for being read aloud. And, my actor background makes me always want to take sentences and paragraphs and pages and turn it into something that can be easily read aloud. So when I edit this section, you're going to watch me reading it aloud. And so why don't we get started? Me or my biz, what's the difference? Let's say you're totally buying into the idea that you need to discover, craft, and communicate your personal brand and are excited about getting started. If you're like many people, especially those holding down a day job, It's pretty clear who you should be branding. You. But what about those with active or almost active side hustles, and especially those who'd like to make such side projects their number one form of income over time? Who or what should they be branding? This question came up several years ago as I was meeting with a friend. After years in the not-for-profit sector and getting what not-for-profits pay, she realized that she needed to build her brand big time. Build her personal. Let's add that personal in there. She needed to build her personal brand big time. In the course of our meeting, we exchanged business cards, and I noticed that her company name was opaque at best. I asked her about this, and she explained the name and how it meant something to her. But speaking for myself and others who might run into it, it made no sense at all. The second word of the two-word name was functional communications. But the first? It was more of an ultra inside joke about what the company was designed to do for her. That confused me, and so I asked her, why are you hiding behind a company logo and name when your company is really just you? Do you have plans to turn it into something bigger? She said no, but she wanted to be perceived as a credible business. I replied with an all too snappy, why hide behind a company name to appear credible when you could earn that perception by simply being? I'm going to give that a little bit of italic goose, by simply being credible. And then I realized I should be asking the same question of myself. Give it italic and bold. How do you know who or what to brand? Simple. How do you answer your phone? Ever since I've been working for myself, I've done so under the banner of Collaborator Creative. I have never really intended on growing my business as I gravitate toward as I gravitate toward the lone wolf side of things. But when I started, I just felt like I needed to have a company name, almost as a shield to take into battle. It certainly helps in certain situations, like when I'm giving a presentation somewhere. The first line of my introduction is typically something along the lines of, DP is the chief collaborator of his company, Collaborator Creative. Oh, and I use the logo and name on invoices too. But when I answer my phone, I always answer it saying, hi, you've reached DP Knudten, or hey, named person, name of person. This is DP. And we should probably go. Because caller ID. This is DP. Because caller ID shows me who's calling before I answer. How do you answer your phone? That's a really good indicator of who or what you should be branding. It really is as easy as that. If you're building a company with the goal of possibly selling it sometime, you really need to brand the business. But if you're like me, loving the lone wolf lifestyle, the lone wolf I've said twice, so loving the me and only me lifestyle, you better be focusing solely on building a brand that boosts your solo self. This was hammered home to me at a recent recording session with the fantastic Jay Bear. I've written a whole section in this book about how he's a master of visually packaging his personal brand, but I'm equally impressed with his strategic answer to the yourself or your company question. Quote, I look at it as a service line, right? You can buy Convince and Convert without buying Jay-Bear, and you can buy Jay-Bear without Convince and Convert. The same way that you would think about any product or service. period. The same way that you would think about any product or service is sort of how we think about it. And in some cases, you can buy them together depending on the circumstances. The other thing that's true in my world is that our strategy team at Convince and Convert, who always does the work we do, convert, comma, who always does all the work that we do for big companies, 5 of them also speak professionally. Let's do that. Let's get rid of that. I don't think I need it. Professionally. So we have Convince and Convert, which is the thing we work on together, and they have their own personal brands. It's an interesting program, and sometimes it does get a little confusing, even for me. I literally had a meeting earlier this afternoon with our community manager who handles the social media and sort of the hype for the company and for me. And we kind of went through a whole new social media plan about what we're going to post on what days, on what channels. And the question is, does this go on the Convince and Convert? I think there's an extra space in there. Instagram account or the JBear account or both. And we had to go through the whole thing and fine-tooth comb, like literally a spreadsheet, to kind of keep it straight. What I'm trying to do is avoid confusing people. I'm going to hit that with some bold, baby. Oh, yeah. As you said, you knew you didn't want to build a thing to sell, and so putting your name on it was not going to inhibit your flexibility at any point. Whereas because I sold an agency before, my thesis is build it so you can sell it even if you don't think you want to sell it. Because why eliminate the option? JBear, Nonfiction Brand Podcast, episode 99. I love the way this guy thinks. Starting a new business after selling his first, he's already thought through one of the most important aspects of it, that he's building it for the long term and ideally to sell it sometime down the road. Consequently, any brand equity accrued over his years working in the business needs to stay with the business. After all, why would anyone want to buy a business that fully depended on Jay's participation for the long term? At the same time, he's also very interested in building his own personal brand so that no matter where he works or what he does, all his personal brand equity walks right out of the building with him every single time he leaves the office. Do you see what he's doing there? The dude is literally selling his company brand cake and taking his personal brand slice home with him every single night. Yes, he's currently featured prominently on Convince and Convert's website at www.convinceandconvert.com, but he's also got a fully fleshed out personal brand online presence at www.jbear.com. Each site has distinct similarities and differences, as they should, because they represent 2 distinct entities. And the beauty is, the second he sells his company, his personal brand site is up and running, enabling him to continue building his personal brand without a pause. No beat is skipped, no opportunity is lost, and no personal brand equity is squandered through miscommunication or lack of clarity. So what's the right answer? Answer for you? Let's get rid of the simply put, because I think I've used that way too much in this book. If you answer your phone, "Hi, you've reached ABC Associates, Sandy speaking," that's what you should be branding first. ABC Associates is what you should be branding first. But if you answer wrong version of your, my biggest bugaboo, that right there. But if you answer your phone, "Hi, you've reached Sandy," you better be branding you immediately from the get. Why? Say it with me. Because if you don't own it, it's not yours. Okay. I'm going to change the icon to green for now. And then add a section. If you don't own it, it's not yours. All right, so I think that's good. I need to give this a red flag for, hey, David, you have not written squat for this section, and so I am. Because all those red flags are things I need to write. The blue ones are the ones that I need to review and edit. You know, get it to final finish, or at least first pass finish. And the yellow ones are never going to be finished, or at least not yet. So that's looking pretty good. One thing I am going to do is go from title page all the way through bio. And you'll see why. Because right now, Scrivener will give you a running tally of how many words you've got in the book so far. So this is telling me I've got 33,896. I pull out my calculator on my phone because I can't do the math in my head. 33,896 divided by 300 words per page. I've got 112 pages, more or less. I've got some photos in there that's going to eat up some more pages. So I'm going to say I've got 150 pages of what I think is going to be ideally a 250-page book. That's my goal, 250 pages. Anything more than that, and I'm just going blah, 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 blah. Anything less than that, and maybe it doesn't have the weight I would like it to have as an authoritative book about personal branding. And believe me, my goal is to have this be an authoritative book about personal branding. So, it's a Saturday night, and I don't feel like writing any more about this book, and I've been on for 18 minutes, going on 19, and I'm feeling good about it. So I've progressed the book forward in one way or another, and you know, that's all I'm going to do, because I still have, if this is episode 126, I have, let's see, 301 minus 126. You figure that out, but it's like 170 plus days left to go on this book. And that means I still have a lot of time to write this book. Consequently, I don't need to kill myself to write this book. So I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to say good night to you, and also thank you very much for helping me out, because you literally, the commitment I made to you, I'll be honest with you, the commitment I made to you is more important than the commitment I made to myself, because I've been meaning to write this book for 15 years, and now finally I am. And that's all because I kind of said aloud to you that I'm going to get this thing done. Consequently, I better get it done. And so I am every night for 301 consecutive days, of which, I'll say again, this was the